Well, welcome to the Perth Hills. Michael Moss, independent Panther, Puma, Marsupial hunter, if you like. And about 3 weeks ago, I'm based in Perth, West Australia, the capital. Perth Hills, about half-hour drive, if you like, less from the outer suburbs. And there's been alleged sightings going back decades here. In fact, in West Australia, many decades, from the southwest right up through the Perth Hills and in between, in the bush in between, long stretch of bush. And yeah, you know, if it is a puma, you know, their territories can be massive, can be actually, depending on the predator-prey ratio, they could be, you know, up to 300, well, not up to, but up to 300 square kilometre in the United States. There's been, you know, where there's not that much food for them, you know, you can have one male every 1,000 square kilometre. So that's what you're dealing with here. Anyway, I had a letter to the editor into the local newspaper about 3 weeks ago for any recent sightings or attacks on pets and etc. in the Perth Hills. And I only got one text. It was recent sightings, and I basically didn't receive anything except one text from somebody that said they saw it 25 years ago down in Mundaring, which is where the big reservoir is up in the Perth Hills here. And that was up until yesterday. And this is why I'm out here today. And I'll read the text. I won't show the phone because I don't want to reveal the person's mobile at this point anyway. And yeah, I mean, I'm going to... The habitat here is broken farm country, and also a lot of dams. It's undulating country. Reminds me a lot of South Gippsland or southeast South Australia, where I've spent time looking for these things. As I said, I'm going to take the Ghost Runner game caller for a spin here, right around this catchment. I'm going to really crank it up. And also I've got another game caller as well. I'm going to try and whistle them up. That's what the hunters do in the United States, assuming this is a puma. Mind you though, you never know, a leopard. And there's no such thing as a black puma. Well, generally not believed. So this thing could be a leopard. So anyway, I'm right in the spot where this lady claimed to have seen it. Now here we go. I'll read the text out to you folks. And keep an eye out, I don't get jumped by something. Hi, I saw your letter to the editor in the Echo. I'm not sure... Now, so I'll repeat that. Hi, I saw your letter in the editor. I saw the letter to the editor in the Echo, which is the newspaper where I had it. Now, I am on the Gidgenup Mount Helena border. And over the last few days, my dog was behaving very out of character. And I got this yesterday, this text. Normally when there's foxes, she'll run to the edge of the property and bark. But in the last few days, she's barking so much that it's prompting me to build a yard and keep her locked up at night. She has been crossing boundaries and travelling through 2 or 3 properties barking like crazy. Okay. Quite some years ago we had a dead young kangaroo on our driveway. It had been killed in a way that a cat kills. Okay. And it was definitely not the way a fox or a dog would do it. I'm sorry, but I can't remember the details, but it was the opposite to what a fox or dog would do. About 25 years ago, a friend of ours who lives in Gidgee, which is Gidgenup, just north of the township, saw a large cat walking along one of his fences. And he believes it was a puma or similar because its tail reached height of the ring lock fence, and he could see it very clearly, the silhouette. I mean, from a distance he swore it was no ordinary cat. Anyway, Mr. Moss, that's all I have for you. but like you, I do believe there could be big cats out here still. Best wishes with your research. And it's a lady. She sent me another text with the address, and this is I'm at the back of her property here, and I'm going to have to stake out areas where I can use my caller without attracting, you know, somebody locally, if you know what I mean, because it's going to sound like an animal being killed. So I don't want to bring attention to myself, but I've got something to work with here. I mean, there are leopards, for instance, love attacking dogs, etc., etc. Mind you, there's one qualification I read up that deer. There have been deer released in these hills, a bit like where I've concentrated in South Gippsland, old deer farms, and when they close down, they just chuck the deer in the bush. So I am wondering whether there is a deer has come into this area, and that's why the dog was barking. But apart from that, it's very interesting behaviour, because the dog doesn't act like that with foxes. And given that she claimed to have seen a cat-like predation, and there have been alleged sightings, other alleged sightings, a few kilometres away, either side of here. So it has got a bit of a history, and by locals as well. Okay, these are local people. This is the interesting thing, because I've networked through the farming community over the decades. I've been on this since 1995, and it's not an urban myth, because it's the farming community predominantly seeing them. Now, I'll just also add, freedom of information requests I've taken out on big cats over the decades has revealed alleged sightings of these Puma cat-like creatures and panther-like creatures all around mainland Australia. I revealed to the world the Blue Mountains black panther in, I think it was the year 2000-ish, and also the fact the Queensland government freedom of information request revealed they tried to trap a big cat, a panther-like animal, with a cage trap up about 1995 at a place called Mariba in far north Queensland. I've lived near Cairns. I've lived at Cairns for a while. I had a look up there about 25 years ago. And you might have seen some kangaroos running across here, so that it is a wildlife corridor here, which is encouraging. So you'd expect a big cat to be around here if there's a wildlife corridor. And alleged sightings in South Australia as well. The Victorian government actually, a guy named Brian Walters, who I used to know, occasionally I'd present some alleged evidence to him. He's retired Conservation Department official. He was sent by the Victorian government over to the United States for a little while, just to have a look at back in the early 90s or late 80s, to look at the Puma Panther issue, and just, to come back to Victoria sort of thing. So there's the eastern seaboard. So I'm going to get out here and have a good look at all of this. There's also been down the southwest, the incompetent conservation departments. They're state government based. It's not the federal government. The national parks are run by the states. Okay, so it's these state government monopolies. I used to work for a monopoly once for 8.5 years, and unfortunately they weren't reformed conservation. It's still a 20th century public sector union job for life construct. And the great reform in Australia 20 years ago never reached conservation. And this is how you can have these things here, because scientifically, folks, it's perfectly possible these things are here. Perfectly possible. And I've noticed in Gippsland and elsewhere that in the more enclosed bush areas, the colours of these things tend to be black. And in the more open areas, they tend to be a brownie coloured big cat. So it will be interesting to see, because there is a combination of both here. And I'm on the edge of two habitats here, where the bush thickens and where the this broken farm country, as you can see, on one side. And it's called the edge in biology. And it's where, back in November 98, I believe, I videotaped a thylacine, which is on the edge where the wildlife congregates. And that was on the edge of the Strzelecki Ranges in South Gippsland, Victoria. So as you can see, there's a good little bush here. I can even drive my car along these tracks, so I can get in here, but there is houses on both sides. So I'll let you know if anything happens, folks.